Alright, so I apologize for the mic quality, but essentially I'll be teaching you the sort of basics of C Sharp and also how to create a text-based game in C Sharp. So I'm using Microsoft Visual Studio. This is because I'm on a PC. If you're on a Mac, I recommend Sublime Text. But essentially, every C Sharp console application looks sort of like this. Let me just run it. It looks sort of like this, and you have a namespace, you have the name of the program, the class, and essentially the main arguments, which is what this executes first, what the code executes first. So yeah, standard input-output is going to be console.writeLine, which is output, and you can put hello world and always end with a semicolon. And if you run that in the console, that will bring out hello world. We'll just let that load. There you go. It was running for a second there, but yeah, so we'll just do this. Their input is console readline, and we'll just put this console readline, and so essentially it'll stay. So there you go, hello world. That standard input-output. You can also use variables to modify that. So essentially, what you're looking for is if I were to state my name, or if the console was asked, so if I do console.writeLine and the console asks me, what is your name? I can then put console input or readline, and we can do make a variable here, so we can do, for example, player name is equal to console readline, and essentially that will say that the name or the input to which the console receives is then stored as player name as a variable. And we can state that variable by, again, doing console writeLine. Apologize for writing. So we can do hello, and then leave a space, and then what you can do is add variables to your text and your output. So I can just do player name, whatever the variable is, right? So we can state that variable by doing string, and I'll leave that player name as a string, which is a bunch of text, and I believe that should work. Hang on. There are compiling errors. I believe I have to, oh, right, of course, I'm missing a semicolon. Oh, that'll be the end of me missing a semicolon. We'll just do Connor, and it goes hello Connor, and quits. So we can do console readline just to see that it works before closing, and essentially that'll work. So there you go. What is your name? I write Connor, and it goes hello Connor. that's pretty much it. I think we can make the text a bit bigger here to see. There you go. Pretty straightforward. So essentially, you can think of a bunch of ways to put in certain variables to create what's known as a text-based game, and that is quite simple. I'll show you one of my works. So I just started on this text-based game. I essentially just created the console inputs and outputs. So what this does is, what it essentially does right now, is let's just define everything first. So at the top of the code you have your variables. So there's two integers, which are player health, player attack, and player name so far. We can actually add something just to teach you. We'll add what is known as the monster. So we'll add monster health, and we can set that variable straight off the bat to, we'll set it to 75. And we can set the monster attack to, I don't know, less than the humans. So we'll do 10. Just so it's easier. So there you go. As you can see, I've defined two variables. Well, now 4 variables, and one is defined as a string, but it's not set yet. So it's set later. It's set later in the code, and essentially, so right here, so we have the main function. So this function, the main function, is essentially what the code goes to execute. And I have two processes here. I have welcome, two methods, welcome, and I have fighting loop. So essentially right now I have the welcome setup, welcome method, which is essentially console.writeLine, welcome to Connor's text-based game thing. And that will execute and run that. And then it'll also say, it'll also change the text color to red, and then say the monster is approaching, defend yourself, and then change it back to gray, which is the standard color. And right here I've put in slashes, I've double slashed that, which is a comment. And essentially what this is it defines player name. So I have a console output, which is what is your name. And then it reads the line, and because I already defined it, I don't need to define it right there, straight out of that. So I can write again console.writeLine plus player name. So I have to define it actually. Yeah, so it will be player name is equal to. So that'll essentially mean that the variable player name up here, that's defined as a string, is going to be mentioned here again, and is going to be the input from the player or the user or whoever's on the console, and then it's going to output what the user typed. So yeah, that's what's essentially right here, and we can run that straight off the bat. Let's just put this in comments. So yeah, let's run this. So here we go. So it goes, welcome to Connor's text-based game thing, or whatever. What's your name? So we write our name, and it closes immediately because we don't have time for it to stay. So essentially what readline is just allows us to type. But this one, once we create the loop, it will stay on the screen. It's just, this is how it executes. It executes it and immediately closes after. Connor, and there you go. So essentially it will say, hello Connor, and a monster is approaching in red. And then now we have to create the actual game, and it's quite simple. It's quite simple. I know this may look quite daunting and complex, but it's actually quite simple. All you've got is your variables here stated there. You've got your main arguments, welcome and fighting loop, and already welcome is defined completely, and we're now about to define fighting loop, and that will be it pretty much. So what I've got here is a do function, so it will automatically force this to be, executed. So it will write, you have, and then plus the player health value, and then it'll say health left. What I'd like to do after this is also write the monster's health. So keep it simple. Right, the monster has, and you keep in the brackets here, and you write monster health, which we defined here. That is a integer, not a string or anything. And we can add health left. So this will be a loop. Yeah. So this do loop will have to loop with a while function, and that'll essentially be at the end of the code, or we can do it like right here, because it doesn't know what it's doing, right? What it's doing is forcing something, and what we want to do is create a while function and say while the player health is greater than 0 and, which is double and sign. I believe I've defined this. Yeah. Player health. Yeah. So while player health is greater than 0 and monster health is greater than 0, we've run this function. So that essentially says that. Sorry. Syntax error, right? I believe I have to have 8 parentheses here. There you go, yeah. So essentially, while the player health is greater than 0, which it already is, and the monster health is greater than 0, then the game is going to run. This whole function is going to run. So it's going to keep looping that until like either I die or the monster dies, which is pretty simple. So what I like doing with this is essentially defining 2 terms, which is going to be like attack or defend. So you have 2 functions, 2 very simple functions when dealing with this. It's not a very complex game, it's just a very simple attack or defend sort of game. And to spice it up, we'll use like a random number generator, and then it will generate a random number in your attack damage or something, and then use that number on the monster, so that everything's different. Every game is different. It's not just player attack and then minus. So monster health minus player attack, which should just take like 4 hits, and you just press A 4 times, and you'd win. So yeah, essentially to give a sense of like the game being random. But yeah, all right. So let's start this. So let's just put this together. I think this has to. So, the monster has that much health left. We can start by saying console.writeLine being will you, and we'll just put this in parentheses so the player knows what to do, what to click, or what to type, or whatever. Will you attack or defend? So that just sort of looks like it's going to be what they have to type. Yeah, we'll put that a question mark. And then we'll have to do a new variable called something like player choice or something. We'll make a new variable. We should probably, I think it'll be fine. Anyways, yeah, so we'll just define player choice as console readline. And then console.writeLine. So you can like type that out. What they choose. Jesus. Okay. Right. So we can define player choice here, or we'll just do it up here. I think we'll do it up here. So we'll just define it as a static, and it is a string. So player choice, that'll be it. Alright, so then that will make an error. So, now that we have this, it's fairly straightforward from now on. We have a basic if-else statement, and that is going to basically define our actions, right? So, I feel like this is a bit too low. Anyways. Right, so if the player choice is going to be equal to the letter A, right? Let's do open squiggly bracket. So there's a way of creating a random number. So to do this, we'll do random, which is a function. Rand, we'll write here. Do random. And then we'll have an integer called attack damage, and we'll make that the random number between numbers. What number? I don't know. 1 to 5. And that number will define by will times by player attack. So that'll mean a really random number between 1 and 5, and that random number will be times by the player attack to then attack on whatever the monster's health is. I think we should change this to like 120 and then put the, what is it, 100? Make his health, make his attack like 10, and like the monster's like 5 or something. There you go, that's more reasonable. Yeah, so that'll be his attack damage. And then to set this in place, we'll get that integer called attack damage or whatever, and we'll take that attack damage integer variable, and we'll go monster health is equal to monster health minus the attack damage. So we'll then change based on whatever the number is, right? So we semicolon. So right now we can do like a console write line to keep the game kind of atmosphere going. You can go you hit the monster for, and that would be defined with a squiggly for 0 damage, and that 0 is representing the attack damage. And to do that we can do this. So 0 is this number. If you want to do 1, like you can do another value, so like player attack, and that'll be 1, but you want to say the attack damage. If you get how that means, that's a sort of an array, but yeah. And right, so now that we've got that, that's pretty much it. So far we're just attacking the monster. That's what we have. We can do a else if, which will help us create the defend function. So this defend function we can do right between here, else if the player choice is going to be equal to D. Then it's going to be like console write line. The monster attacks you, so you don't attack him. When you defend, you don't attack him, but you like take less damage or something. Attacks you. Then we can do like we can make like a whole new function, something like we can use the monster attack and do the same sort of thing. It's like the player attack. So essentially we can do the monster attacks you, great. We can do the same sort of thing here. So we can copy this, a new random, and we can do name the integer monster damage. We can do the same thing, and then yeah, times the monster attack. Monster, is that how I defined it? Monster attack, yeah. So yeah, and then we can do player health. Player health is equal to player health minus monster damage. Perfect. So that defines that. We can also define how much damage he does. Do one right here. Console write line, and we can do you took, we can do this same thing, damage from the monster, oh no, and we can do monster damage or whatever. So there you go, that basically defines that. Why is this parentheses over there? And semicolon. So, in summary, oh yeah, we can do one more little thing to make it so that they can only do A or D. Otherwise, so we can make an else function and then be like, otherwise, you picked the wrong thing. So we can console dot write line. Wrong selection. That's it. Yeah. Null loop, right? So, and that's the end of the loop. So in summary, this is a very simple function right here, and I'll run it in a second. Essentially, what we have are different integers and variables on the monster health, monster attack, player health, player attack, and also player choice. Okay, so we have our welcome. That's simple. We can close. I can close all of the non-important things. Yeah, so we're welcome. That's straightforward. We have our fighting loop, which is the main loop, and this is the actual process that takes place. So it first starts by saying you have how much health left? You have this much health left. Will you attack or defend? And then it'll make a new variable based on what the player says. And then if that variable is going to be A, then we have a random number attack, and you attack the monster. Otherwise, if you defend, the monster attacks you for like whatever the monster attacks you. And I think we should add monster attack divided by 2 or something. Yeah, okay. He has a small attack anyways. We'll do monster damage divided by 2. Oh yeah, see if that works. That should work. And right here we can actually add the monster will attack back, so otherwise it's like, you know, pointless. Because otherwise you're just attacking when he's taking. Alright, so run. Okay, now we'll just take away the divide by 2. That should work. So, let's just take this thing right here. This is live coding, ladies and gentlemen. This is live coding. So yeah, fairly straightforward. You're attacking a variable with your own variable. It minuses the values and just displays them pretty much. And if you don't do that, if you don't do A or D, you'll be like wrong selection. So to finish off this, we can do, to finish off this completely, we can do if the monster health is less than or equal to 0, then console.writeLine you win, or whatever, or you have slain the monster. Etc., etc. And also, we can do else if player health is less than or equal to 0, then you've died, you've been slain. And that'll pretty much put us out of the loop. You have been slain. Right. So, that sums up most of the code, right? So, let's just look at the errors. What is this? Bloody semicolon. Okay, I believe that is everything. So we have our welcoming, we have our fighting loop, and if we just look at the code, that will be pretty much it. Let me have a run of this, see what happens. Geez. Probably missing a semicolon somewhere. This is the biggest problem while coding. Missing a semicolon. I think I need to close a function. I think I'll just do if. I don't know why I'm doing else if. That should be fine. This connected to the private static void. Yep. Ugh. Alright, I believe this is from last time. Right, yeah, okay. I think we have almost everything. I'm just confused as to what's missing. So, fighting loop is called. It's closed. Ah, alright, yeah, of course. Spotted it. So we'll just do random 1 or something. Alright. So, after being back, after solving that small little error, this is essentially what will happen. So, what is your name? We're met with that. Monster is approaching. Defend yourself. I believe I have to type something. And then it'll come up with this. So not defined very well. I think I need to add a space there. Right, let me just add a space here. And yeah. Right, so when we run the code, my name is Connor. Cool. You have 120 health left. The monster has 100 health left. Well, you forgot that. Okay, whatever. Will you attack or defend? Essentially, when you press A, you're met with this. The monster attacks you. You hit the monster for 20 damage. Wow. You took 15 damage from the monster. You have 100 health, 5 health. Now, as you can see, it runs seamlessly. Let's try defend. So we took 7 damage, which is a lot less than 15. If we'll keep attacking it, we took 5 damage anyways. Cool. We hit him for 20. We hit him for 30 this time. He has 30 health left. Oh, so yeah, I pressed A/, as you can see. It only accepts anything, accepts everything, accepts only A and D, right? So if I type anything different. Attack, you hit the monster for 10 damage, he has 20 health left, and I attacked him and he died. So, very straightforward and quite fun. I can add this just to make sure it doesn't quit. And let me just fix that. Monster health left. There we go. So as you can see, we've written not that much code, actually, considering this is the entire thing. And we've created a very simple text-based game. Running it once more. As you can see, you know, factors like different text colors is essentially quite important in a text-based game. Makes it much easier to read. But it's as simple as this. So attack. He attacks you. You took them. You took. I hit him for 40 damage. I took 20 damage. There you go. So that's essentially how you play the game. So we'll just attack him and until he dies, and that's, you know, the end screen. So a very simple game. I hope you enjoyed this sort of tutorial of how this actually works, and I'll come back to you next time with a much more complex video showing you what more you can do with text-based games rather than input-output, and more with variables and possibly arrays of, you know, for example, we could have a monster that attacks you with a different stance every time. So instead of saying the monster attacks you, we could have the monster throws a frisbee at you, and it has a list of, you know, sayings, and it's random every time. So I'll show you that in a more complex video, but this is essentially what it is, simply put. So yeah, thank you for watching, and yeah, see you next time.